Major Cleveland Browns coaching search updates. Folks, this just came in. We got to get on here, give you the latest Browns news, the rumors, talk about it on today's show. I am your host, Joey O'Donohue, diehard Browns fan myself. If you are, hit that subscribe button. Look at that. Only 583 subs away from 70,000. What a milestone. You guys are the best for that. It's totally free. Hit that sub button. I've got daily Browns videos, news, rumors, updates for you. I say we get right into the coaching updates here. Now, before we get into what I'm hearing about Cleveland from a top NFL insider, we just got this from Ian Rappaport. It's basically official. The Falcons are expected to hire Browns offensive coordinator Tommy Rees as their new offensive coordinator for Coach Kevin Stefanski, sources say. So it's been the favorite all along. Rees now lands in Atlanta. He was there today. He is not leaving. No flight home, one way for Tommy Rees. This was expected, but now it is confirmed the Browns will need to find a new offensive coordinator. Obviously, their new head coach will get the most say in that. Bring their own guy, just like Stefanski's bringing his own guy, which is Tommy Rees. And you saw how bad those two were together in Cleveland last year. I would love for Atlanta fans to figure out just how stagnant an offense can get with those two calling plays together. It'd be interesting to see who calls the plays. I imagine Stefanski will do it as first. And then when everybody realizes how bad he is, well, he'll give up the play calling as well. But we've got Cleveland Browns head coach updates, okay? Jordan Schultz had this to say. This is a team that could target a coach that's a year away if they deem that coach is a future star. Jaguars OC Grant Yudinsky, who just turned 30, and Rams pass game coordinator Nathan Scheelhaase both had excellent first interviews and are now finalists. There is also a question in league circles about how Jim Schwartz, who the Browns would really like to retain as DC, would react to a hire like that. The sense is their preference is to go young if the right candidate is available. Let's unpack all of this. First of all, this is what I expected the Browns would try to do. I think they've been leaning, take the swing on a young candidate, young offensive-minded candidate, and just do everything you can to keep Schwartz, right? We were told they're telling candidates we want to keep Jim Schwartz. And so who are candidates that are going to do that? Well, it's going to be the younger guys that want a head coach opportunity. John Harbaugh, he's going to bring whoever the heck he wants. So consider that. Also remember, Andrew Berry was 32 years old when he was hired as a general manager. Okay, one of the youngest ever. So if there's anyone that's going to take a swing or a chance on a young guy, it's Andrew Berry and the Cleveland Browns staff. They've done it before. They kind of have to do it again. And they're a team that can afford to do it, right? I mean, you still got question marks. The top candidates in the cycle are not picking Cleveland. They're going to pick Baltimore. They're picking Miami, right? The Giants, the Falcons, right? Those were the spots with quarterbacks that people want to work with and things of that nature. So the Browns, they are the team that could take a chance on someone who is a year away, like Schultz is telling us. And keeping Jim Schwartz not only will help a young new quarterback and head coach, but they can make him sort of an assistant head coach. They can add that to his title if they want. Honestly, make Jim Schwartz the highest paid defensive coordinator in the league. Give him something like $5-6 million a year. And now you get to pair a young offensive genius head coach who hasn't got the opportunity to be a head coach yet, like Yudinsky, with a quote-unquote goated defensive coordinator who's been a head coach before, right? Like, I think Jim Schwartz is so valuable in this if you're going to take the shot on Scheelhaase or Yudinsky, because he has been the head coach of a football team that made the playoffs, the Detroit Lions. Now, not all those years were good, but he did have some success, right? And then he also won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia as their defensive coordinator. Okay, and we know what he's done for the Cleveland Browns defense since coming here in 2023. He's very well respected across the league. And so he's the key in this equation of keeping Schwartz. And then I like a lot of the reviews I'm hearing on Grant Yudinsky. I got to be honest with you guys. Here's what Trevor Lawrence had to say in mid-December. He said, I've never really met anyone like him. The way he approaches the preparation process, the attention to detail, just the game planning in general, the things that he thinks about, the conversations that we have throughout the whole week, it's a very, very detailed process. There's no stones that are left unturned in his approach with us in the quarterback room. Sounds perfect for a young developing quarterback like Shedeur Sanders or, someone Cleveland drafts or signs in free agency, but there's not a whole lot of options. And I'll tell you, Shedeur is definitely going to be in this mix next year. So bring Yudinsky, smart offensive mind. He also just has that drive, passion for football. He really is a football fanatic. I mean, there were multiple stories that Yudinsky was trying to do whatever he could to get into coaching, and he went across the country sleeping in his car. When he was in Minnesota, shadowing Kevin O'Connell, he stayed, basically slept at the facility, I'm told, to work with quarterbacks after hours and run routes for them. I mean, he is dedicated, folks. And Liam Cohen gave us some more bullet points. The Jaguars head coach working with Yudinsky this year said he's, quote, an elite communicator, said he's got high intelligence, high football IQ, and verbatim, Cohen says he is all ball. He's a big football guy. He drives a Honda CR-V, all right? He said there's no ego on him. He's a football guy. And is that not what Cleveland has been lacking? We've tried the analytics approach. We've tried the Ivy League guys of Stefanski and Berry. Get me someone who just studies this game, studies the crap out of it, and is dedicated to learning. And that's the type of guy I would give a chance on. A young Grant Yudinsky, be his first time calling plays. I understand it, but Cleveland needs to get early jumps on these type of candidates. So throwing it out there. Don't sleep on Nate Scheelhaase as well, though, right? Schultz is telling us that these two are finalists. And Scheelhaase, he's been under Sean McVay the past 2 seasons. That's got to be the most beneficial person you can be under when you're looking at becoming an offensive coordinator or a head coach, is it not? I mean, you want to talk about young guys that succeeded? McVay was 30 when he got hired as a head coach. Look how that's turned out. Now, Scheelhaase also worked under Matt Campbell from 2018 to 2023 and played quarterback at Illinois, okay, from 2010 to 2013. So he does understand offense and the quarterback position as well. I wouldn't mind Scheelhaase coming in here. I would love him as offensive coordinator too. Like maybe Cleveland pairs both of them together. Maybe you do hire Yudinsky, who is an offensive coordinator right now, and then Scheelhaase, who's a pass game specialist, gets the jump to OC. It would be a lot of young guys running the show on offense. I know it's a risk, but if you're the Browns, what do you have to lose? So if you had to pick one in the comment section, though, okay, you can have, if these are the two finalists, like Schultz is telling us, well, who would you pick? Grant Yudinsky, type GU. Nate Scheelhaase, type NS. Get those initials in the comment section for me. Let me know where your head's at, Browns fans. Curious what you guys think on this matter. Also, a report from Mary Kay. This search might expand a little bit. We know Cleveland needs to get another candidate in here because of the Rooney Rule. Well, this wouldn't satisfy it, but Mary Kay says the Browns are doing their homework on fired Bills head coach Sean McDermott and inquiring. But they're mostly focused on Grant Yudinsky, Nate Scheelhaase, and their 3 other second interviewees. I do think you got to give McDermott a call if you're the Cleveland Browns. I mean, you want to talk about winning. Winning record. Look at that. Nearly 65% win percentage in his career as a head coach. 105 and 57. Also just stability, right? He was the Panthers defensive coordinator for multiple years. Was a head coach in Buffalo for 8 years with Josh Allen and co. And, AFC East titles, playoff success. Like, if you're going to get a culture guy, maybe you get McDermott and then pair him with a OC like Scheelhaase or whoever he wants to bring. I wouldn't sleep on that being an option. Now, coming up on the back half of the show, you're going to see where the Bills actually might put a dent in the Browns head coach search. So stay tuned for that. But first, let's tell you about today's awesome sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action before next season. So close the season out right with Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. I love this app. It's a lot of fun. I win money, and I've been crushing it with the more on quarterback passing touchdowns this playoffs. Since I can't watch my favorite team anymore for a while, I want a way to stay entertained during these games and have something to root for. Missing your fantasy team? My league is already over. But with Prize Picks, I don't have to wait until next year's draft. Okay? Prize Picks lets you play fantasy football every week, even in the playoffs. Pick your favorite players and win when they hit their projections every week. No draft required. Join millions of users and sign up for America's #1 sports picks app. Here is my lineup for Sunday. Drake Bay, more than 199.5 passing yards. Cooper Kupp, more than 1.5 receptions, and Devontae Adams more than 3.5 receptions. I'm a big more guy. You can make a lineup just like that if you download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Let's talk about Grant Yudinsky, okay? We've got word that the Bills requested to interview Yudinsky for their head coach position, okay? The secret's out. Yudinsky is being looked at by other teams. It's the first other team to request to interview him, and it's obviously a much more attractive job according to a lot of people. I don't think he would get the Bills job, but I'm just saying. Mary Kay says that the Browns had the best-kept secret in the head coach candidate, Grant Yudinsky, at 30 years old. But the Jaguar is out of the bag, and the Bills have come calling. Honestly, though, I would be a little skeptical if nobody else had requested to interview Grant Yudinsky, because that would be kind of weird, right? It's like, is it really a secret genius that only the Browns know about? I mean, we wouldn't trust the Browns with that, would we? But I will say this has been very poorly mismanaged by Andrew Berry. Again, another knock on Andrew Berry's resume, another thing that has completely been mismanaged by him and Jimmy Haslam. You know the Rooney Rule before you enter a head coach search. Okay, so what was your plan? Were you just banking that Mike McDaniel would fly to Cleveland and interview with you? That he wouldn't have any other jobs to take before interviewing with you in person? Well, now you're screwed, because he pulled out of the Browns head coach search, and you haven't interviewed a single minority candidate in person yet, and you knew you would have to. So think about this. Imagine the Browns narrow it down to their top candidate, but they can't hire him because of the Rooney Rule, right? They're interviewing Yudinsky later this week. And what if they love him, but you can't offer him because you haven't interviewed Scheelhasse in person yet, and you don't have a second candidate that is a minority? It's happened before in this coaching cycle already this year. John Harbaugh was supposed to interview with the Falcons, and the Browns wanted to interview him. The Giants locked him up, didn't let him leave New York. Robert Saleh was supposed to interview with the Cardinals. Got hired by Tennessee. Didn't make it to Arizona. Jeff Hafley's supposed to interview with the Cardinals. Miami sniped him. Boom. You're our head coach. Like, what if this happens to Cleveland with their top candidate now? Because they didn't prepare. They have to go out now and find another candidate, and you're going to have to find someone, honestly, that kind of knows they're literally just being interviewed for the Rooney Rule. I mean, Cleveland had their finalists set, had their second-round interview set, and you're supposed to find somebody that's like, yeah, I'll fly to Cleveland to not get the job. You should have done this, Andrew Berry. You were one of the first teams to fire your coach, and you didn't have this prepared. I don't think we'll lose out on Yudinsky, but it's just, there shouldn't be a chance. I shouldn't have to come on here and say that it's a possibility because the Browns poorly managed this. That's all I'm saying. Here's the updated interview tracker, though. Jim Schwartz has gotten his second interview. Todd Monken has now officially had his second interview with the Browns. Those two made it past the first round, and we'll keep you updated on it if they continue to progress. Yudinsky, like I said, scheduled to interview later this week. That officially will be on Friday. They've given him plenty of time to prep. Let's see if they can wow him again like they did in his first interview virtually. Nate Scheelhause, whenever the Rams season is over, that is when Cleveland can finally interview Scheelhause according to league rules. So it could be as early as Monday, or it could not be for a little while here, folks. And, well, Cleveland could be the last team to hire a head coach. And finally, Jesse Minter is supposed to interview a second time with the Cleveland Browns on Thursday. I feel like Minter's kind of leaning Baltimore, but if he does able to come, or might be hired today, yeah, literally. But if he is able to get to the building Thursday, then Cleveland will have a second interview with Minter. Who's your favorite? Comment your number one choice to be the Browns head coach in the comment section. If you could pick your dream candidate, any of them, let me know down below your favorite name to coach the Cleveland Browns. Also, while you're down there, give me a follow on X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're everywhere. Joey070. Interact with me. Browns Report IG, Joey O. Brown on Instagram and TikTok. And as always, hit that subscribe button. I really do appreciate you guys. I'm going to have you covered with the coaching news every single day. So hit that sub button. I'll see you next time.